In this video, we will explain why it is important to wait for good weather conditions when you get your tiny house delivered, because otherwise it gets very, very adventurous.
Hello, we are Daniel from Brazil, Stella from Germany, and our border collie Bonnie. We moved from the heart of Berlin all the way to the beautiful north of Portugal. We've got this amazing 1.2 hectares of land with an old ruin right by the river. We are going to share our experience of living in a tiny house and the whole process of turning this beautiful place in our home. Starting from scratch, we are diving into manual work, gardening, have some farm animals and any other task you can imagine. Trying to spend more time away from the computer screens. We are all about learning by doing, sharing our successes, fails, and the fun moments with you.
So Daniel, what's the issue now?
Not enough space in the car.
Not enough space in the car.
And time.
And time, yeah, let's go. So it was early in the morning, 7 a.m. We were ready to go, everything packed, everything organized, loaded the car. We're going to the land, to the tiny house delivery. Are you excited?
Too excited.
The car, I don't know if you can see, looks full. Because we want to test how many things we fit in, especially the clothes, because this might be the biggest issue. Of course not for Bonnie. She doesn't need anything. And then we drove for 100 meters and the warning light from the engine started to blink. The car broke. We couldn't change the gear anymore. And we're like, oh my God, what should we do? The time is passing. We wanted to be in Braga at 9 a.m. It takes like 45 minutes to go from Porvoo to Braga. And we're really already like getting short in time. And then, okay, what should we do? We tried to like find mechanics. Everything was closed. The only one which was open didn't have any time. Then we tried to like get a rental car, but there was no car available. Like not even at the airport. All the car places were still closed. Then we tried to call all our friends. Most of them were still like busy or sleeping, needed their car. And then eventually the dad of a friend of ours, he gave us a second car and we could finally go. It was already 10. And we're like, okay, we don't go to Braga anymore. The tiny house is already in the way. Then it started to get like super, super foggy and rain heavy. We're like, oh no, oh, this delivery will be so difficult. And yeah, but then things got better. Like when we passed by Braga, we saw a yellow truck, and this was the yellow truck which had our tiny house. We got a glimpse of, and then we got closer to the land. The weather started to get like slightly better. We saw a beautiful rainbow, super vivid colors. Daniel and me arrived at the land. We still had some time before the guys from the delivery came, and we decided to check the way. I'm scared of this one, but
Yeah, it's far.
okay.
So we have 3 spots on the road there, which are quite muddy. So I don't know how it's gonna be with the delivery. We arrived like 10 minutes before the guys, I guess. Let's see. I'm pretty sure they're arriving at some time soon. We're just trying to do the path now to see how nervous we should get, but that's it.
So the way was, in the past days, was flattened by Senor Ricardo. He's our man. Without him, we couldn't do anything. He organizes everything, he has everything, and he was flattening the way to the land. So when you want to go to our land, it's about like 400 meters, like a common path from all the other properties. And it's just like a sand floor, as you can see here in the background. And yeah, so Senor Ricardo was preparing everything for the delivery, also on our land. Like he widened the way a bit to make it more easy accessible. But the problem was, the night before the delivery, there was some heavy rain. So the floor was totally muddy, and yeah, even me and Daniel recognized it's probably not gonna be so easy. And the guys from Casageas arrived. They were actually discussing if the delivery is even possible, or if the tiny house should be just like placed on the street. But this was not really an option we wanted to do because it would be in the way of other people, and we didn't want to, I don't know, annoy anybody. We just moved here. So we decided to bring it at least to the entrance of our property, because the most difficult part would be on our property, because it goes like hill down. And the problem was also the liability. So the insurance from the delivery company, they only covered the happy part, like the path on the asphalt on the truck. And everything afterwards was on us. So it was a very heated discussion, and Senor Ricardo also joined, and he was checking the way, and he's like, yeah, actually with my tractor, I don't think that it's such a big issue. In worst case, I just get another one to secure the tiny house more. And then we decided, okay, let's do it, let's start. So when the tiny house finally arrived, came on this beautiful yellow truck, they needed to change the tiny house, like bring it from the truck, attach it to the tractor. This took already 45 minutes, and then it finally began. And very slowly, the delivery to the land, to the base started. And yeah, it was very exciting. So in the beginning, the truck driver, he just wanted to drop the tiny house and leave. But Daniel was like, no, this guy, he needs to help us. Like, this guy is by far the most experienced one. We really need him. And then Daniel was like, okay, the truck driver, Senor Luis, he was amazing. We cannot let him go. Like, he's the most experienced one. And then like they walked the whole path, and then he's like, yeah, can you give some advice? What should we consider? How would you do it? And then Senor Luis was, okay, do you know what? I will stay. And the whole delivery started to be like a group project. And then everybody was like, yeah, let's do it, let's start. Yeah, and this is how it started. And then the tricky path began. The path, and yeah, it was a bit difficult because of all the mud, and the mud was hanging like in the wheels of the tiny house. So in the end, the tiny house was not really like rolling anymore, but was more dragged by Senor Ricardo's tractor. But yeah, it worked out. There were a few paths which were very, very narrow, especially like here, where you have like a wall on one side and then trees on the other side. So I don't know, I was just walking in the back and just watching. I got a bit nervous, but yeah, it worked out so far. And they managed to deliver the tiny house to the entrance. And yeah, then another discussion started, like, should we really do it, or should we just leave it there? But yeah, they decided to try it. And Ricardo's plan B was to bring another tractor to secure the tiny house. So one would be in the front, the other one would be in the back, and then they wanted to stabilize it with some cables. In the end, it was not necessary. Spoiler, it worked out. But yeah, it was difficult. Yeah, and then the most difficult part started, which is here, because it goes like downhill. And it was also starting to rain a bit, so everything got more muddy and slippery. But yeah, they decided to give it a try, and it was intense. It was very, very intense. And we went very, very slow. I think for the path from the street to the entrance of the land, it was about like 1.5 hours. And from here to the base, it was another 2 hours. It took so much time.
yeah, but then everything went kind of smooth, like even in the very like narrow parts, like here with the stones, they managed it. They were cutting some branches in the end to bring the tiny house without scratches to the base. And then in the end, they just prepared the base and parked it. This parking was spectacular. No, this parking was also another point where I got a bit nervous because they needed to like turn the tiny house around and then push it backwards on the base. But everything worked out perfectly, and yeah, we're super happy that in the end we did it on the day and we could move into the tiny house. So in the end, it was a happy end. But it was a very exciting day, and a day we definitely will never forget.